Well, the Biden administration is asking the Supreme Court to end Title 42 next Tuesday after the highest court honored the request from 19 state attorneys general to keep it in place. It was supposed to be lifted today. The White House writes, quote, "The solution to the immigration problem cannot be to extend indefinitely a public health measure that has outlived its public health justification." Meanwhile, El Paso is beefing up its border security. 500 Texas National Guard troops arrived in the city yesterday. Joining me right now is the National Border Patrol Council President, Brandon Judd. Brandon, it's good to see you. Thanks so much for being here. We've been all waiting for Title 42 to go away. Now it's in place for another couple of days. Does this change your expectations in terms of a surge at the border today and this week?
Let me be first clear that I am very happy. I'll take any days that we can get with Title 42. But the moment that Title 42 drops, we're going to see an explosion in illegal immigration. And let me be clear. The border is already broken. We already can't handle what's currently crossing right now. We can comfortably handle between 1,000 and 1,200 crossings per day. We're at 8,000 crossings per day right now. That means that it's already broken. We're already pulling too many of our agents out of the field. It doesn't surprise me, the Biden administration. Nothing surprises me about this admin anymore. They will not do anything to lift a finger to try to help us get this border under control. They want this open border chaos. They continue to show that. Their actions speak much louder than words. And it's very disappointing that they're not doing what's right by the American people. They only worry about politics, and that's scary.
Is this money in this omnibus misleading to the American people? They say it's for the border, but we want to see money for the border agents so that they could carry out their job and have support. This money appears to be just going to house more illegal migrants. You've got a new op-ed on foxnews.com this morning. It's called "Once Title 42 Expires, Mexican Drug Cartels Will Gain Complete Control of Our Southwest Border." You write this: "For every additional 1,000 people, even more agents are pulled from patrol duties, which leaves huge gaps in border coverage. These gaps are exploited by cartels, and deadly drugs like fentanyl make it into our country." Brandon, tell us more.
Yeah, this omnibus does absolutely nothing for border security. What it does is it just allows us to process people through the system quicker, and all that does is invites more people to cross the border illegally. What we have to do is we have to put policies and programs in place that's going to disincentivize people from crossing our borders illegally. And once we do that, we can get the fentanyl under control. We can go after the cartels. We can go after their profits. We can start prosecuting people for actually violating our laws. Right now, all there is a reward for violating our laws. And anytime that you do that, more people are going to come, more fentanyl is going to flow into our streets, and more United States citizens are going to die. More people died with fentanyl overdoses than in the history of the United States, yet this administration continues not to do anything about it. They don't care about the American public. They care only about their own political aspects, and that clearly shows out in their actions.
Okay, Brandon, James Freeman here at the Wall Street Journal. Let's say that today President Biden gets up and decides that it's in his political interest to enforce the law at our southern border, even without Title 42. Obviously, pre-COVID, there were laws about illegal entry, about border enforcement. What would be your top items on his to-do list in terms of policy from Washington to change what's happening?
The first thing that he could do, and it's like a light switch, what would stop this immediately is if he re-implemented the Remain in Mexico program. When you go back and you look at how the Trump administration struggled with illegal immigration in 2019, they understood that Congress wasn't going to do anything. So President Trump and his admin, they developed a program. They created the will, and they developed a program that was something that we'd never seen before, that dropped illegal immigration to 45-year lows. And by the way, there was less drugs on our streets because of that. So he could go right back to that. But even working within his own parameters, all he would have to do is challenge Flores, state that the courts never envisioned that children weren't going to show up to their court appearances. Then he could hire more immigration judges, hold people in perpetuity pending their asylum or deportation proceedings, and that would also drop illegal immigration. He just won't do any of those. He does have options. He just won't exercise any of those options.
What are the benefits that the illegal migrants are getting? Because in this omnibus, the Republicans are boasting about this $275 million cut to the IRS's annual budget, but it comes obviously after the $80 billion that was signed into law earlier this year. It provides money for food stamps, heating assistance. I'm wondering if this is providing more money for the migrants when they get to America.
Absolutely. So when we take people into custody and we process them and release them into the United States, they're now eligible for all of the benefits that anybody that's here legally would be eligible for. And so, yeah, everything in this, there's nothing in this omnibus that would give any measure of border security. There's nothing about enforcement. In fact, it explicitly says that they can't spend any money towards enforcement. So this, again, does nothing to protect the American people. It's a joke. And everybody knows it.
Brandon, the president is going to visit Mexico City next month. He says he's going to do that for a meeting with Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau and the president of Mexico, Andrés Obrador. This is going to be a two-day trip beginning January 9th. It'll be his first trip to Latin America as president, Brandon. I mean, Mexico City is where he will find all those drug cartels who are running the border, right? They are running and deciding who gets in and who doesn't get into America. But will he go to the border?
Maybe there's some great ice cream shops in Mexico City. I don't know. But if he's going to go there and he's going to do what he's always done and talk about root causes rather than what's the actual cause of illegal immigration in the United States, he's just not going to accomplish anything. The Mexican government does not want this chaos to end. They're making money. Well, they're making billions of dollars right now because all of the money that the cartels make, it goes right back into their economy.
Yeah.
So there's no incentive for them to end this.
It was the Mexican government officials who were leading that group of 1,000 people in El Paso the other day. Remember, it was very organized, all in trucks, and it was Mexican officials.
Yeah, and that's the problem. That clearly shows that they want what's going on because they make so much money off of this. Until we go back to doing what President Trump does and talk about tariffs that are greater than the amount of money that these cartels are able to bring in, Mexico just isn't going to do anything. So again, this visit isn't going to do anything for border security. What he has to do is he has to look at what he can control. Okay. We can control what happens in the United States. And if he would go to the border, he would see what's going on and he could develop ideas.
Thank you, Brandon. Great to see you this morning. We so appreciate your time and your leadership down there. Brandon Judd joining us this morning.